Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Talk to Gap. Today we're joined with the lovely Vivian and another special guest, her mom. So would you like to give us an introduction, please?
Yes, I would. My mother's name is Bobbie Coleman. She grew up on a farm in Arkansas. She was born in December of 1928.
Wow.
And so she has a lifetime of memories and some really wonderful stories that she's going to be sharing today. And to begin with, she's going to be focusing on the period during World War II when she was a teenage girl. And so I'm going to hand this off to her, and here's Bobbie.
Hello.
Hello there.
Teenage living wasn't what it is now, because we had nothing to entertain us. We had to entertain ourselves. So you want to know about when I was 13, right?
Sure.
We didn't pay any attention to teenage. We all just grew up together, and we knew how old each other were. So we didn't call anybody teenagers.
Oh.
But it was very important, since the war had started, that we all pitched in and did everything we could to help the war effort.
Right. Wow.
One of the things that was so much fun to us as teenagers in high school, that was the first year of high school, I think, because the war ended in 45. I graduated in 46. Anyway, we would hear the train coming because it had to cross a lot of roads. And we would all go about a quarter of a mile. Well, that's about how deep the campus was. And we would stand on the side of the road and wave at all the soldiers. And in the process of all that, the soldiers would be prepared already. This is what amazed me. They would be prepared already to throw out their names and addresses. And they would yell, "Write to me, write to me, write to me." So I don't know how many soldiers I wrote to during the Second World War. I don't know how many proposals I got for marriage during the Second World War, but it was because of all of the letters. But we were convinced that the morale of the soldiers was partially up to us. So we took it very, very seriously. Told them everything that we knew about what was going on back home. And that continued until the war was over for many of us. I know it did for me. Anyway, that was one of the things that we did to help the war effort. There were other things that we did to help the war effort. We needed more iron to make bullets and guns, I guess you say. And the kids, we were all kids then, would scour every inch of the ground that was anywhere for every scrap of metal that could be found. And I guess when the war was over, there was no metal in the ground at all, anywhere where any of us lived, because we had used that to send to the war effort. Well, another thing that interested me was the fact that it was a total country job for all of us, no matter how old we were, to participate in the war effort. And that's what it was called, the war effort. The kids at that time would have access to little bond booklets, and we could buy a bond for 25 cents. And these little booklets that they gave us, we would stick the stamp in it, and when we got a certain number, they were $5 books and $10 books and $20 books. When we got a book full, we could swap it in for another book and save the books if we wanted to, or else cash them in. So that was how we, without any money, my mother would give me a dozen eggs, and I would walk a half a mile to the store, sell my eggs for a dime, and then I would buy a bond, 2 bonds to go in the nickel bonds, 1 bond if it was a 10-cent bond. So that's how we helped the war effort and everything we did. We became workers in the fields. I started picking cotton at a very early age, and we helped our parents. And then there was a feeling of sharing and togetherness that I don't know whether you've ever experienced it or not, but I'm hoping that one day we get back to it in America. But that's the kind of atmosphere that we had. And if anybody needed anything, we all helped to help them get it. So what have I missed? You told him 3 or 4 things. Yeah, I'm talking and my mind is not recalling.
Jim, do you have any questions?
Oh,
do you have any questions?
I had a comment actually. Like, I really like what you said about like that feeling of togetherness and like supporting each other. And I think unfortunately, like right now in the US, I think we aren't able to enjoy that feeling of togetherness like maybe as much as in the past, maybe. But I think that's a beautiful.
That's a sweet memory.
Yeah, it sure sounds.
That's a sweet memory for me that you have never experienced.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are. 17? Are you 17?
Yeah, I'm actually 17. Yeah, that was a perfect guess.
Okay. Well, you might not have been old enough to even pay any attention to togetherness when you were growing in your younger years, but it was one for all and all for one is what we were. And I remember it very, very. We didn't even lock our doors at night.
Wow. Really?
What we had was we were ready at any point to give to our neighbors. I remember times were so bad sometimes that my father. And one of the problems we had growing up was there were no fire departments, and we were out in the country, and fires were dangerous because if a fire started, it would burn everything that everybody had. It would burn the house down. But I remember coming home from school a lot of days in my childhood and youth, finding my father and mother had a new bed. And I wondered why on earth my parents were buying so many new beds. And I found out much later in life that every time somebody lost their home and all of their possessions, the first thing my daddy did was give them his bed.
Wow.
And that's the kind of life that I grew up in. We loved everybody. We knew everybody, called each other. The children called all the older people that weren't even kin to them aunt and uncle. And so it was just, it was a good time. And as far as I was concerned, it was peaceful.
Wow.
Any other questions?
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. So, during the war, were you or any of your friends ever scared? Or... Scared? Yeah.
Oh, heavens, no.
Really? Wow.
I wasn't ever scared. No. I was heartbroken because with sadness, but I don't ever remember feeling scared because I had my father. He was taking care of me, and he provided all of my needs. And I had my heavenly Father that Do you know about the Heavenly Father?
Yeah. God, right?
Okay. Well, I had two fathers, a Heavenly Father and an earthly father. And they took care of me because they furnished my food, my clothing, the house to live in and everything. And I didn't have any needs. Why should I be afraid?
Yeah. Wow.
Now, if the war had come to our country, it might have been different. But it was far away, and as long as it was far away, we didn't consider fear. It was just, how can I help?
Right.
You know.
Wow. This is like.
What else?
This is super interesting because in school, we only like really learn about like the facts and like the numbers, and we don't really get to like hear stories like yours. And I think it's so interesting and kind of like a cool new thing. But yeah, so I have one final question that I want to ask you. When you during the war, when you like hung out with your friends, was it different during the war compared to after the war, or did you carry on doing the same thing?
No.
Wow.
It was all the same.
Wow.
We were all family.
I see.
We all stuck together, closer than brothers and sisters.
Well,
we didn't have gangs. We didn't have shootings. We didn't have guns. Guns were all in the army.
Right.
But no, there. At that time, there was peace in the homes. We didn't have divorces. People were happy and content with what they had. I'm sure there were some who wished for more, but I never wished for more.
Wow.
And I felt safe in my home. And when you sleep in a house where there are no doors locked, that's what we lived in.
To wrap things up, we talked about this before I started recording, but if from your entire life, if you had to give just one piece of advice to someone my age, what would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them first to get to know Jesus. Yeah. Okay, there's a foundation that you build on, and that's what we had. We had a strong spiritual foundation. That's the first thing that I would tell them. And the second thing I would tell them is practice the love that you have in your heart. Love your neighbor as yourself. Who does that now? Anybody?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound as like amazing as it did during like what you described, like when everyone was like so eager to help each other. I feel like we could all work towards like maybe loving each other more. Yeah,
and together we can accomplish anything.
Yeah,
together. And that's what happens when you have the love I'm talking about in your heart. You reach out to other people, and they become important. People today think too much of themselves.
Right, yeah. I agree with that.
They think they're number one. Yeah. But we're learning the hard way that we can't have it all, and we don't need it all.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree. Like, I also think if, like...
Well, I had... You might be interested in all of those days that I had one dress for Sunday.
Wow. And
I wore overalls, which were, I don't know what they're called now, but the bib had a bib and straps over the shoulders, and denim shirts to wear to school. And if I ever tore my dress, it gave my mother a little bit of extra work trying to put it back together because I had one dress. And I wore that to church and to all the parties that I was, if there happened to be a party. We were so poor. We didn't have any parties. But anyway, I'd say love and work together is the main thing that I would say to you. You know what hitchhike is? Yeah,
you just stand on the side of the road, stick out your thumb like this, wait for someone to pick you up.
Now that's more of the old. That's the way we traveled during the war.
Yeah.
Hitchhike.
Really?
Yeah.
What was hitchhiking like?
Well, but back home we didn't have good tires, and when the tires wore out, there weren't any to replace it. So anyway, not much gas because gas was rationed.
Oh right, yeah.
But anyway, and be nice to your mother.
I will. But yeah. Thanks so much for coming on and like taking your time to do this. Like it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the other people who are watching this as well. So thank you so much. To all our viewers, thank you for tuning into this episode. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining us, send me an email at talktogap@gmail.com. But that's it for today. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for speaking with us. And yeah, see you next time.